Last time on Highschool DxD, our horny hero Issei had just faced the White Dragon host Valley, a member of the sinister Chaos Brigade. Their fight ends in a stalemate with Valley eager to see our hero grow and be a worthy rival to him. The Occult Club are able to survive once again, this time with new changes coming. Governor General Azazel of the Fallen Angels joins the crew as a mentor, and by order of Sir Zex has every female move into Issei's house for special training. With his harem ever increasing, will Issei be strong enough to protect them the way he protects his virginity, or will he finally get laid? Find out now in Highschool DxD. Welcome back yet again, this time to part 3 of this series that I didn't think would be an actual series where I reveal Highschool DxD. Definitely needs a shorter name. But yeah, if this is your first time here, you're 2 videos behind, but worry not, as you can find the playlist with the first 2 videos over here. So check them out before you come back here. And if you are a returning viewer or just generally enjoy the stuff I put out, thanks for sticking with me as I go through this series. It's because of you guys I actually turned this into a series, so this one's for all of you. Alright, that's enough sentiment. Let's get kicking into Highschool DxD BorN. Or is it Highschool DxD B or N? If you recall, every single girl in the club was ordered to move into Issei's house, since Sir Zex figured out that Issei is fueled by the power of horny. He's bound to get stronger just from constantly being around them. But it doesn't stop there, cause Rias has ordered the house to be renovated to accommodate all of them. So their house goes from this to this in the span of a night. And Issei's parents are super cool with this. I mean, I would too if I got a mansion free of charge. So the bigger house means a bigger bed for Issei, which also means more girls that can fit in it. And he is reveling in it. Or he tries to, but his mind has been clouded lately with flashbacks of Raynell and all the bad things she did to him and Asya. Maybe he's finally processing the breakup. It's the last day of school just before summer break and everyone is excited for it, making summer plans and all that. Well, except Koneko. She seems to be really out of it. Smells like a character arc is coming. Which is great because throughout the anime, Koneko has been in the background most of the time, so she's never left an impression on me. Most of the time she spoke, she only said a line or two. The only thing that really stood out to her was her super lolly strength and the fact that she was the only one who really reprimands Issei for his perverted antics. So I'm eager to see where her story goes. The club's plan for summer break have already been decided by Rias. They're all going to the underworld, and they waste no time heading there. This change of setting is a welcomed one. I didn't realize it up until now, but the anime had pretty bland and repetitive set pieces. Cycling through Issei's room, the club room, and then the school grounds. Every single arc had their battles and climax take place in the schoolyard, which didn't really help to make them feel all that epic and climatic. So hopefully with the underworld we get to see more diverse locations. The crew head to the underworld via Demon Train, but their ride is suddenly cut short when they all get forcefully teleported out of the train. But before they can process what just happened, a dragon shows up and immediately starts attacking. They try to coordinate themselves, but Koneko rushes in and gets punished for it. The dragon proves to be too much for them to handle, and just as things are looking grim, Azazel and Ria show up to stop the dragon. Turns out, this was all a test for them. That's right, this vacation to the underworld is actually a thinly disguised training arc. Or so I'd like to believe. This dragon is called Tanin, an old friend of Drake, and he's here to help with their training. But that'll be all for today because it's time for their obligatory bath. The only noteworthy thing to come from this scene is Azazel proving why he's the smartest character in the entire series. He shows Issei that there's more to just squeezing melons. The true joy comes from poking them and the reactions that come with them. And this has opened Issei's eyes once again to the limitless potential of boobs. I swear, Azazel is like the only one that seems to understand that horny Issei equals powerful Issei, and the fact that only he can come up with new ways to motivate Issei shows how dense the rest of the cast is. Just then we cut to the Chaos Brigade. Biko is having a conversation with a mysterious cat lady, a Nekomata by the name of Kuroka. She doesn't care too much about the plans the brigade has, all she wants is to get her little sister back. Who is that little sister? It's Koneko. Which isn't really that big of a surprise because the anime OP spoils it for you. Yeah, the OP does this a lot. Characters are revealed long before they debut in the anime, so if you really hate spoilers, skipping the OP is optimal. Moving on, We get a training montage of all the characters and their custom main training routines. Koneko had pushed herself too far and goes to recuperate, so Issei goes to check up on her and notices her cat ears. And Rias comes to give us some backstory. I don't know, but something about Rias being the one to dump backstory about her servants to us 3 times in a row now doesn't rub me the right way. I guess I'd rather hear it from the character themselves. So, Koneko's backstory is that long ago there were 2 Necromancer sisters. They were orphans and had nowhere to go until they were picked up by a devil, with the older sister eventually becoming a servant to said devil. But by turning into a devil, the power she had hidden inside came forth. The overwhelming power led her to lose control and kill her master before disappearing. She became too powerful, annihilating any devil that came after her. Fearing that the younger sister would become like the older sister, they planned on disposing of her. But Cerzek stepped in and took responsibility over the younger sister before passing her on to Rias in hopes of giving her a more fulfilling life. Yep, that's Koneko's backstory. We don't get to dwell on it because immediately after that, we're thrown into a huge gala where all the high-ranking devils are meeting. Which means we're about to meet even more characters. There's Princess of the Agres family, Sigvaria, Syra Og, the #1 strongest young devil, and Zephador, who takes the trophy as the worst character designed in the series so far. There's also this obviously shady looking guy, but we don't get his name just yet. Oh, and Riser's younger sister is here too, and she definitely has the hots for Issei. They'll all eventually come back later in the plot, but right now we're focusing on Koneko, who's dipped out of the party. No, she's not like your average introvert, she just felt her sister's energy and went to chase after it. Issei and Rias follow suit. She does in fact meet her sister, and we get a bit more insight into Koneko's internal turmoil. She's been watching everyone else improve and get stronger while she herself feels left behind. She's been struggling with herself, rejecting the Necromancer side of hers because it reminds her way too much of her sister, which is why she purely relies on her fists. Kuroka isn't just here for her sister, but here to carry out an attack on the huge party being held. The party where Odin just arrived in. The 2 sisters confront each other. Kuroka wants Koneko to join the brigade and Koneko doesn't want to. She has chosen to stand strong as Rias' Rokan family, accepting herself from then on. Meanwhile, the angels, devils, fallen angels, and Odin are just about to sign a peace treaty but get interrupted by Loki. Back to Issei, Koneko, and Rias, battle breaks out with Tanin also joining in to face off Biko.
Kids, I have a plan! While I slap this monkey around, you guys pound that pussy!
This fight doesn't look all that great. Coming off the second season, which was filled with a lot of hype, I had a lot of expectations going into season 3, especially in the animation department. Season 2 raised the bar in terms of quality and polish, an upgrade from the first season, and I had hoped season 3 would be even better. But so far I haven't been all that impressed. So, back to the fight. Like every other fight, Issei gets folded. I'm starting to see a pattern here. And Issei too is having an internal monologue about this exact pattern. Getting beat up every time he tries to protect his friends can be pretty frustrating. It's been 3 seasons and Issei still can't keep up with the meta, getting power crept with every new unit released. But that doesn't mean he's going to stop. He's figured out a way to get a boost and balance break, by poking Rias' fun bags. And it works! This never gets old. Every time he balance breaks, he gets a bit more badass. The bad guys get pushed back and retreat for now. They'll be back, that's for sure. And I guess this is where Koneko's arc ends. She accepts the Necromancer side of hers and prepares herself to face her sister head on the next time they meet. It was a pretty short and rather quick arc. Honestly, kind of disappointing. What this arc really did was show a problem the series had with its supporting cast in the occult club. Aside from Akeno and sometimes Asia, the rest of them just stand around and react most of the time they're on screen. And even when they did have arcs where they played major roles in, like Kiba in the Excalibur arc, they were sort of the B plot in it. So even now, with the whole Chaos Brigade attacking the party, it feels like Koneko's arc was shoehorned in just so we can get her development done and have her finally fawn over Issei. Moving on, all the bigwigs are discussing the recent attack on them. They were able to take care of it pretty quickly by just teleporting Loki out of the place, but they know he's going to be back. And they've got to prepare themselves for it while waiting for Odin to return with Mjolnir. So Rhea selects herself and her team to act as a diversion to keep Loki busy and buy time. They waste no time in moving out. The team consists of Rias, Issei, Akeno, Zenobia, Koneko, Kiba, Sona, and her two servants, Irina and the Valkyrie Roseweiss. And the moment they arrive, Loki emerges with him and his legendary monsters. Oh wait, I guess those are his children. There's a lot of fighting going on, and a few things of note happen. Irina has been reincarnated as an angel, Koneko accepts and shows off her necromancer powers. Seeing her, Akeno too accepts her fallen angel side and merges her lightning with light to rain down holy thunder. While it looks like things are going well for them, Loki reminds them that he is a god and will not have his plans for Ragnarok foiled, showing off his almighty power. But before they all get wiped out, Odin arrives in the nick of time to deliver Mjolnir, ordering Issei to wield it. And just as he's about to grab it... Yikes, that looks really bad. In the arms of Rias, he takes his last breath. Everyone is shaken up by this, but no one is as furious as Rias. Are we about to finally see her kick ass? Not quite. Loki isn't all that bothered. He commands Fenrir to throw down the hammer, but it's immediately interrupted by the Chaos Brigade who capture Fenrir. Turns out that was their real goal all this time. Kuroka, along with a new face Arthur, who wields the Holy Blade Coldbrand, shows up and dognaps Fenrir as per Vali's orders. The distraction was enough time to get Issei revived. Earlier during the party, Issei had received a gift from Ryzer's little sister, which was actually a phoenix tear, basically a full restore. And now he gets a hold of Mjolnir, boosting it up and delivers the final blow to Loki, who, just before he's defeated, curses all of them. Like major bad mojo cursing. And so the battle comes to an end. They all wonder what the brigade wanted with Fenrir. Turns out the only reason Vali wanted Fenrir was because he wanted a dog. That's it. I'm not saying this makes sense, but I understand. And so the curtains close on this arc. The club heads to the human world and Koneko has cozied up to Issei. So things are going back to normal. Akeno appears to be having some kind of internal turmoil. Smells like a character arc is coming. So she asks Issei out on a date. The two have lots of fun and thanks to some hijinks they end up at the Love Hostel streets. Akeno is way down bad, but just before they can, Issei gets cock-blocked by Odin and Barkel, Akeno's dad. The three of them sit down for a talk. He questions her on why they were at a Love Hotel street and she just unloads all the daddy angst she's been bottling up for who knows how long. Backstory time! So, Akeno's mom was a shrine maiden who came across the wounded Barkel and nursed him back to health, with them falling in love and Akeno soon coming after. But when her fallen angel wings began to sprout, the neighbors caught wind of this and hunted her and her mother down, which led to the death of her mother. Her father was nowhere to be seen at that time. Perhaps finding milk over there was pretty hard. So she ran and ran until she couldn't run anymore, which was when she met Rias. Akeno is really distraught by this and throws herself at Issei, wanting to do the devil's tango to help her forget all the grief she's feeling. And respect to Issei, despite how much of a horny kid he is, he doesn't go along with her. He can see that this isn't what she needs right now and he clearly hesitates. And then something weird happens. The two of them sort of mind meld and they peer into her memories and true inner thoughts. This helps her truly come to terms with her unresolved feelings and her past. And so she takes the first step in patching things up with her father. How wholesome. Her arc is a short one that is resolved in one episode. I'm really glad of this anime's fast pacing. It's thanks to that it's able to put 2 arcs per season, which makes it feel like we're moving forward. However, I can't help but feel like the anime might be a bit too fast paced, sacrificing a lot of the smaller character moments. How it usually goes is after a big fight of the arc, the next episode that follows is one that has them doing smaller stuff, like going to the pool or something like that. This serves as a palate cleanser for the rest of the action that comes in the next arc. But if it's one thing that feels lacking, is how the supporting cast don't really have interpersonal dynamics. We've got Issei and Zenobia who get along really well with their whole former church girl gimmick, and then we have Koneko and Gasper being the whole Lolly and Shota duo that act like siblings. There aren't really any other unique interactions between the rest of the crew. Like, I'd love to see the kind of stuff Koneko and Zenobia get into, or Akeno and Kiba. They all just sort of remain in a vacuum and only ever really converse when they are reacting to something. But I think the one who really gets the short end of the stick is Kiba. He's almost never present during the calmer moments of the series, maybe because he's the only other male in the group and they don't want him taken away from Issei, but even after his whole arc, he's often just there filling up space. At least Gaspar has a leg up on him because he gets moments with Koneko and even gets put in the fan service spotlight from time to time. Guess it's cause of the cross-dressing. Justice for my boy Kiba, man, like he deserves to be fan serviced too. Moving on with the story, Irina has now transferred to their school and will become a part of their gang, though she'll be acting under Archangel Michael and not as a servant of Rias. Also, during Odin's visit, he left behind Roseweiss, who now has nowhere to go and will now be crashing at Issei's house with the rest of them. Later on, Issei and Asia are out and about town where they run into this guy, who showed up earlier in the season during the devil party. He's way too interested in Asia because they actually have a history. He's the first devil she ever healed with her sacred gear, which caused her to be exiled from the church. His name is Deodora Astaroth, and he wants Asia to become his bride. She's surprised by this, but Rias assures her that if she just ignores him, he'll eventually go away. They're all throwing a welcome party for Irina and Roseweiss when Azazel shows up with something interesting. Issei's perverted antics have now become popular in the underworld. He's got a whole documentary and such. They especially love his heroic exclamations about boobies. This feels incredibly meta because I think a lot of the real world fans of the series love Issei for that, myself included, and now he's been dubbed the Breast Dragon Emperor. Hijinks and fan service aside, the plot finally moves forward. The Demon World will be holding a rating game, a tournament among all the young devils. That's right, we're finally going to have a tournament arc. It's about damn time! And their first opponent will be Deodora, the guy that has been flooding Asia with love letters and gifts in order to win her affection, which has got Issei a bit jealous. And speak of the devil, he shows up the next day. He's come with the intention of trading bishops but gets turned down. He wants Asia through any means necessary and won't take no for an answer. Some more hijinks and fan service ensue, and Issei shares a special moment with Zenovia. And we move on to the rating game. Or so we thought. The moment the crew arrives, they are immediately swarmed by devils who belong to an old faction from before the war. They've been set up, and in the midst of the chaos, Deodora swipes Asia. Turns out he's been making deals with the Chaos Brigade all to get his hands on Asia. So once again, Asia is the damsel in distress. Oh joy. They make it to him, but he forces them into a rating game where if they lose, Asia will become his. They've got to split up and take on his servants, Rias, Kiba and Akino on one side and Issei and the rest on the other. The fight goes well enough with Issei landing a dress break on all of them, but that doesn't seem to work as the ladies just keep fighting still in the nude. Yeah, I can't show this fight. Issei does show off a new ability he picked up during that time he mind melded with Akino. With his new ability, he's able to read the mind of his opponents, or rather, listen to the voices of their boobies. He calls this move titty translation booby lingual. God, the imagination of this boy. And thanks to that, they are able to easily defeat the enemy. Same goes for Rias' side too. The whole team moves on to the next floor ready to face the enemy knights, but imagine their surprise when the one waiting for them is none other than the psycho priest, Freed. This guy is like the Team Rocket of the anime. Anyway, he's part of the Chaos Brigade now, and he shows off his new grotesque transformation, as well as drops some exposition on us. Turns out all the servants they had just defeated were all former nuns. Yeah, Deodora has a thing for turning nuns into devils. He gets off corrupting fair maidens like Asia is his next conquest. Her getting exiled from the church was all part of his plan. He orchestrated everything just so he could get his hands on her. They've heard enough of this talk, so Kiba steps up and one-shots him. Looks like we're finally free from Freed. Surely he won't be coming back. Okay, so here comes my favorite part of the season. The crew pulls up to Deodora, and he goes full on scumbag mode, monologuing all the stuff he's going to do to Asia once he kills all of them. He talks high and mighty about how much power he's got. He even received power from Orphis herself, so nothing can stop him. Issei? Yeah, Issei doesn't give a shit. He beats down Deodora, and this is incredibly satisfying. Even more so because this is the first time we see Issei where he's not getting beat to a sliver of health before pulling a comeback. It's a completely one-sided fight, and it's perfect that the person that he isn't struggling with is an actual classist scumbag. Issei takes him down and rescues Asuya, but before they can leave, Asuya wants to have a quick prayer, and while she's doing that, she just gets obliterated. We don't even have a moment to process what has just happened when a new character shows up. This is Shalba, a true descendant of Beelzebub, and the first thing he does is wipe Deodora out of existence. Yup, he's the one who smoked Asuya just now. He, along with another devil cursory, the true descendant of Asmodeus, have come to claim their rightful places as the ruler of the underworld, with the power boost from Orpheus too. Issei's mind is completely shattered. He can't come to terms with her sudden death. Zenobia too, who is quick to get on the offensive but is no match. This reaction from her shocked me. I knew she and Asuya were close, but I didn't think they were this close. Zenobia only showed up last season, but she's really showing a lot of character, outshining a lot of the older characters. And I've got to admit, she's growing on me. Then again, the moment she pulled out that huge sword, she was already waifu material in my eyes. So Zack shows up and proves why he's the ruler of the underworld, effortlessly wiping out Cursory. But before he can move on, Orpheus herself finally shows up. Back to Issei and co. The immense rage swirling in him has been let out. This sent shivers down my spine. This dragon, no, this monster, this is the Juggernaut drive. And my god, it is the coolest thing I have seen in the anime so far. Like, I love crazy transformations and I love watching Issei get into balance breaker every time, but the moment I saw this, my mind just went blank. Like, I was at the edge of my seat, just gripping with excitement. And I just love a good main character goes berserk moment, and this is being done to perfection. With his monstrous power, he completely overpowers and obliterates Shalba, but he's not transforming back. Just then, Valley and co show up, with Asuya in hand. So what exactly happened was Shalba didn't erase Asuya. He simply teleported her into somewhere called the Dimensional Gap, a space outside reality. And the reason why she's with Valley's team is they just so happened to be going through the gap when they saw her floating in there. She's lucky because if she had stayed there any longer, she would have been torn to bits. In an interesting turn, Valley offers to help too. He too releases his Juggernaut drive and is able to divide Issei's power enough for Rias to get in and talk to him, but Valley notes that the energy inside him isn't purely dragon. There seems to be something else inside him, but he's not calming down. That is until Rias is finally able to get through him and snap him out of it. Orpheus was also able to extract the dark energy inside him. We get a touching reunion with Asuya, as well as one more huge reveal. A colossal dragon emerges from the Dimensional Gap. This is the Dragon of Dragons, the true Red Dragon God Emperor, Great Red, often called DD. Ah, so that's why it's called Highschool DxD. I knew it. I knew I was right all along. All you guys said it's actually DxD, but I stuck with my DD. I stuck with my D, and it finally paid off. I was right all along. You guys owe me an apology. Apologize. Apologize. Got carried away back there. My bad. So yeah. Continuing on, Great Red resides in the Dimensional Gap, the space Orpheus once resided in, and that is the space she wants back. And so Valley has made it his goal to defeat Great Red and return Orpheus back to the Dimensional Gap. The two dragon hosts reach an understanding and become mutual rivals. This would be a great spot to end the season, but this is just episode 9 and we've got 3 more episodes to go through. When I realized that, my mood kind of soured. The season had started out rough but slowly gained its footing back and ended up being just as hyped as the last one, but seeing that there were more to go through after this felt like a push. And to make things even more demoralizing, the last 3 episodes were filler. I've been traumatized by countless filler episodes. I had to sit through Bleach and Naruto, so I tend to avoid them as much as possible. In this day and age, I don't have the time to indulge in content that isn't canon. This is just my personal preference, but since I've decided to stay committed to this series until the end, and because I love you guys, I'll sit through the last 3 episodes, so hitting that subscribe button would actually motivate me right now. Come on, you know you want to. Things kick off with Issei immediately falling into a coma right after that big fight. His juggernaut drive was incomplete, which kind of messed him up inside. Their only hope now is to have Issei go all out trying to heal not his body, but his heart. That works. I was expecting something more, I don't know, grand. Maybe they jump into his mind and explore some kind of mindscape dungeon, but I guess this is fine. Issei is overjoyed by this and declares her love for Issei with a kiss. Things are finally back to normal yet again, but on the other side of things, seems like the now imprisoned Loki has something up his sleeve. Things really start to get weird when another Issei shows up and seems to take control of Rias, who then attacks her own crew. This was Loki's doing. Remember when, just as he was defeated, he cursed them, specifically Rias and Issei? This curse eats away at their hearts, amplifying whatever bad emotions and trauma they had deep inside. So it starts to make sense why Issei had been frequently thinking of Raynell. She's sort of the manifestation of his doubt and fears. He's afraid of how the girls actually feel about him. You know, the girls who sleep with him in the nude, throw themselves at him, kiss him on several occasions and declare their love for him. Yeah, I guess they just see him as a friend. The real issue now is that fake Issei had taken Rias somewhere and they need to find her. They find out she's being kept in the dimensional gap. But the Devil Kings don't have a proper way of traversing the gap, so Issei gets the idea to go meet Valley since the Chaos Brigade have a means of traveling it. Long story short, they meet Valley begging for his help and he actually does. He gives them a way to enter the dimensional gap. And they're able to find Rias. Still, she's brainwashed and fights them. They do that thing where they mention all the good times and how much it means to them to snap her out of it, and it actually works. Momentarily. She somehow transforms into a form similar to Issei's balance break. This makes her too strong for the others to handle, so Issei has to step up and fight her. She's only had this form for a few minutes and she's already using it way better than Issei has in 3 seasons. He's getting his ass handed to him real bad, but he's not giving up. Thanks to the power of love and friendship, he releases her from her brainwashing. The reason she was able to transform in the first place was because of a fragment of Issei's juggernaut drive, which just manifests itself and continues to fight. But Issei powers up and takes that form out for good. Now they just need to find a way out of the space. Luckily, Great Red shows up and they use the portal he created to get out. They wind up in a random beach somewhere and this is where Rias declares her love for him and they share a touching moment together. This scene was actually kind of beautiful. And so the season begins to wrap up. Well, that's before Rias makes the Valkyrie Rosewise her second rook. Since Odin kind of left her behind, she didn't really have anywhere else to go and the Gremry household offers great healthcare insurance, she joins the crew. To end things off, remember how Issei became popular in the underworld, even getting a TV interview appointment? Yeah, that was actually for a kids show. He's super popular among the kids and now parents have to deal with their kids singing nursery rhymes about groping. Yeah, that's one way to end the season. The last 3 episodes weren't as bad as I expected them to be. I was expecting a Deus Ex Machina that comes associated with filler endings, but there wasn't anything out of the ordinary we aren't already used to. It was fairly standard stuff. If I didn't know this part was filler, I could have passed it off as usual high school stuff. Even if I was to take this as canon material, the arc did fall pretty flat and wasn't as strong or as funny as previous. I guess the highlight for me would be Balance Breaker Rias, but it's short-lived with the fight not being as intense as I'd hoped. All in all, the 3rd season was pretty fun. It didn't start out great but quickly picked itself up with the middle being amazing. Some parts did feel rushed and left a lot more to be desired, but I wouldn't really call this a bad season. The filler ending did bring it down a bit, but at least it wasn't as egregious as what Blue Exorcist did, so it's forgivable. But this season made me realize the problem the series has that might get even bigger the further the story goes. The ever-increasing character roster. There are way too many recurring characters and even more one-off characters. Why I see this as a problem is that more characters that get added to the story, the less the other characters have anything to do. A bunch of the characters really feel underutilized, like Syra Org, which I can only hope gets a bigger role in the next season. This in turn gives us less to see of the club's almost non-existent dynamics. And to add salt to injury, our main characters are more reactionary than active. they never really kick off the plot but rather have something happen to them that causes them to retaliate. This was especially true during the Deodora arc. This guy shows up to kidnap Issei and they go rescue her, but are caught in a political power struggle between a new faction of Devil Kings and the old faction. So they are thrown into a fight that doesn't really concern them and has characters like Sir Zex and Azazel take the reins. Even in the second season, during the meeting between the leaders where Kadoria attacked, the club spent most of their time watching the adults fight until Valley showed up. Really makes you question their role in all of this. But perhaps I'm being too critical with the series whose main gimmick is demons and boobies, but I do hope to see things step up in the next season. I will admit, this untoasted my buns a bit, so it'll be a while before I cover the next, but it'll definitely be out before the year ends. And this is where I end the video. Thanks for sticking up until this point. If you enjoyed it, leave a like, and if you really enjoy the stuff I put out, check out some of my other stuff. I'm sure there's something else that is bound to catch your eye. This has been your very favorite slice of bread. Stay toasty.